When you think of NFL players who played baseball, odds are the first name that pops into your head is Deion Sanders. It makes sense. He played 9 years in the majors, and in 1992, played lights out. Sanders hit .304 on the season in 325 plate appearances, hit .533 in the World Series, and joined the Braves for the NLCS against the Pittsburgh Pirates on the same day that he played in an NFL game. I made a video briefly talking about Deion's baseball career, if you want to check that out in the upper right corner. But during that 1992 season, did you know that Deion was not the only player the Braves had that was a football player? This is the story of the other football player that played for the Braves in 1992. Before I talk about this situation, we need a bit of context. In 1992, the Green Bay Packers had the 5th pick in the draft. As a side note, the 92 NFL draft was one of the most notoriously bad classes in NFL history. Nobody made the Hall of Fame, and outside of Troy Vincent, Jimmy Smith, and Darren Woodson, I'm not sure anybody even has a shot at the Hall. Anyways, with the 5th pick, the Packers decided that they needed some cornerback help. Green Bay had just 15 interceptions the year before, with no player having more than 3. Additionally, starting cornerback Jerry Holmes would be 35 years old for the 1992 season, and would eventually retire during training camp. So with that in mind, Green Bay took cornerback Terrell Buckley out of Florida State. The similarities between Deion Sanders and Terrell Buckley are uncanny. Aside from the fact that both of them were football players who played for the Braves, both of them were cornerbacks who went to Florida State. And if that wasn't crazy enough, both of them were drafted in the first round of the NFL draft with the 5th overall pick. It's almost like they're the same person. And just like Deion, Buckley wanted lots and lots of money. Remember that back in 1992, there was no rookie wage scale. It was common for rookies to hold out and enter training camp without a contract. Green Bay was offering a 4-year deal worth $5.4 million, coming out to an average of about $1.35 million per year. This seemed pretty reasonable on paper. For some perspective, the 3rd pick that year, Rams defensive end Sean Gilbert, got a 5-year deal worth $7.5 million. It makes sense that the number 5 pick would get a similar number, but less than the number 3 pick. But Buckley didn't like this offer at all. He called it chump change. He wanted over $2.1 million per year. He wanted to be the highest paid player in franchise history. But unlike most rookies, Buckley had leverage, and he used it. In mid-August, the rookie was still unsigned, not getting the contract that he wanted. So he decided to sign with the Atlanta Braves. The Braves took Buckley in the 38th round of the draft that year. I should note that his stats at Florida State were abysmal. He hit .154, getting 2 hits and 21 at-bats with no runs batted in. By comparison, Deion hit .281 at Florida State and stole 27 bases in his final season with the Seminoles. Buckley didn't even consider himself necessarily as a baseball player. He said that he considered himself as a football player. But he said that Green Bay hadn't signed him, and he had to move on with his life. Buckley even called for a trade so that he wouldn't have to re-enter the draft in 1993 and sit out the 92 football season. So after signing with the Braves and after a holdout lasting 50 days, Buckley and the Packers finally reached an agreement. While the terms of the deal weren't officially disclosed, Buckley got somewhere in the $7 million range, including a signing bonus of $3 million. Buckley missed the first 2 games of the regular season because of the holdout, but made his debut in style. Trailing 17-3 in the 4th quarter, Buckley was sent back to field a punt. Then, this happened.
It was one of my favorites too. What number was Thorpe? Early part of the century. Buckley from the 43. Boom! Here we go! He gets away from his son, and a little of the Deion Sanders style magic for another Seminole, Terrell Buckley.
It was a 58-yard punt return touchdown to get Green Bay back into the game. And in what would be Brett Favre's first ever start, the Packers won 24-23. Unfortunately for him, his career was a bit of a mixed bag. He flamed out in Green Bay after 3 seasons, getting traded to the Dolphins in 1995 for past considerations, meaning that the Packers essentially gave him away for nothing. But despite his struggles in Green Bay, Buckley went on to have a solid NFL career. He finished with 50 career interceptions, having the most picks of any player in history to never make the Pro Bowl, and played 209 games, with his final season coming in 2005 with the Giants. That's not too bad. As for his baseball career, he hit just .199 in 2 seasons with the Braves organization, flaming out of baseball entirely after 1994. But it's crazy to think how the Braves had not one, but 2 football players in their organization at the same time, and both of them went to Florida State, played cornerback, and were chosen 5th overall. On the field and on the diamond, though, we all know who had the better career. Special thanks to all our Patreon supporters for helping on the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a Patreon and request future video topics in the description below.